How's it going, everybody? I'm Cameron Foray with Racepak, and a drag racer myself, and also the digital marketing coordinator here at Racepak. And I'm joined here with Todd Payton, top fuel extraordinaire, operations manager, etc. For Racepak. And here we are, our first Racepak webinar. You guys will have to bear with us a little bit here because we don't know what is going on with the internet. I think we have like 7 cameras going here for you guys, and for some reason, our internet here in California decided to get a little weird on us, but we're going to give it a shot and see what it does. So, Todd, first of all, tell me a little, or I know, but tell everybody else a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here, how you've been in the industry, etc.
Yeah, came to Racepak about 10 years ago through one of the original owners, Ron Armstrong. He helped me when I put a Racepak on my alcohol funny car, and then of course we used the same type of data loggers, the Pro Series data loggers on the Nitro funny car, and then ultimately onto the top fuel car we have now, cool. Which was also why you had a Pro 3 on the car when you drove it last year at Charlotte and beat Mr. Schumacher.
That's right.
But anyhow, so I've been, like I say, with the company for the last 10 years, and coming from the pro side, and then coming over and looking at the sportsman data loggers, learning a lot of the different applications that we had with all the VNet technology, which never used to be part of the pro systems. Now the newer data loggers have that. We'll be covering that obviously later on in our webinar series when we deal with the pro data loggers, but I know today we're just going to try and stay contained with the sportsman drag stuff.
Yep, cool. Well, and everybody, like I said, my name's Cameron. I've been at Racepak for almost 9 years now. Just started right after Todd. Started in the sales and tech department, and then transitioned into the marketing department. That's what I went to college for, and I've been racing since I was 13 years old in the junior dragster world, and then super comp, top dragster, nostalgia funny car, A fuel, and then now top fuel. So I've kind of ran quite a few things. So just learning data as I went there, and it's amazing what you can learn. And when I first started here, I remember when I first bought my first super comp car, I was like, oh man, like I want a Racepak just because I thought it was really cool looking, and it was like a digital dash. Like, what is that? So, but now that I work here, I realize, being here for 9 years, it's amazing what you can learn in just even one pass. Like it literally, our tagline is, stop guessing, start winning, and well, that's essentially true because what you can learn in one pass is amazing. And especially as we get I guess not older and wiser ourselves, we learn the fact that bracket racers and entry level stuff is just as important as top fuel and funny car is.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what we're going to talk about today. Our essentially our entry level data loggers up to something for pro mod and stuff like that, and kind of tell you guys a little bit about it and the common questions we get when people call the sales line and we see each other in the field or at a race or whatever, and just a lot of the questions that we get asked. So basically what we would like to start with would be our Racepak Sportsman Data Logger. And the Racepak Sportsman Data Logger is a super cool unit. It packs quite a bit of a punch for just a basic entry-level logger. Todd, tell me a little bit about some of its basic features and what it comes with,
sure,
all that type of stuff.
Sure. So, it's actually interesting. We're doing this webinar today. I actually had a guy call in on a tech call, asking exactly what we're trying to cover today. Which data logger is right for me? I'm a bracket racer. I want what's the best bang for the buck. So this is exactly how I started him out with, was the sportsman unit, because he had no experience with data acquisition. Doesn't want to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a system, just wants basic information. So the Sportsman comes with engine, drive shaft, 2G meter, so you get acceleration and lateral movement, and then of course battery voltage. You start monitoring that.
And all that's included in just the basic kit.
Right. The only thing you need to buy additional is the actual drive shaft collar, because we know there's a variety of different center sections out there. If you have a large pinion, small pinion,
right,
Strange, Mark Williams, etc. So that's just that's how we go ahead and have that separated out, so you can order that specific to your application. And then everything's downloaded on the little SD card, cool, which we've talked about too in the past. And
people see in my super comp car, I have it mounted upside down, so the card is actually facing myself underneath my knees. Yes, you can do that. Just remember that with a sport Another really cool thing about all of our stuff, it's all done off of an SD memory card, and SD memory cards run or something like that. Another thing is some people like to take the card and say you have 200 runs on your deal, and all of a sudden you say, I don't need the middle 50. What's going to happen is if you keep 1 through 49 and then 51 through 100 or whatever it is, as far as it's going to screw up the number sequence, and then the next run you make, it's not going to put it at number 151. It's going to put it at 43 or whatever it decides. So we get that question a lot. They say, oh man, I made a run, but I can't find it. Well, that's pretty much why. So another little thing to notice on Sportsman Data Logger or any of our data loggers with the normal size SD card, there's a little lock tab here on the side. With this lock tab, you want to make sure that it's not in the locked position. A lot of people say it doesn't really affect the data logger itself, but when you're trying to delete runs and things like that, if it's in the locked position, you won't be able to get any information on or off the card. So something else to keep in mind when you're doing a little downloads. We do have people that think their card is full and they want to purchase a new one if they want to get it from somebody else, like Walmart or whatever, which is perfectly fine. If you don't buy it from us, we supply it with the holder and everything pre-made. If you want to buy it, if you're in a pinch, you got to go to Walmart. We can, you can put it in there. It's actually double-sided taped into this little holder, but make sure you put it in the correct way. It's actually keyed when you look at it. And we're going to have a few other issues, but other than that, put a dash to this unit as well. We can use anything, one of our IQ3 or UDX display only dashes. The dashes do not count as one of our additional channels. So you can essentially add six pressures or temperatures plus a digital dash. Along with that, it's built into the software to where if you wanted to add up to 8 EGTs, the EGTs are kind of a bonus for you. So if you don't want to do that, it's not going to affect anything. But if you want to add up to 8 EGTs, you can do 8 EGTs, and you can do 6 pressures or temperatures and a dash. So it packs quite a little punch for, like I said, for any weekend warrior type of thing like that. We kind of try to get you covered on all the bases on that. Now, Todd, tell me a little bit about our next. Do you have something else? Because a lot of guys see what we used to offer is one of our replay dashes that is basically came with a few things, and it was great for chassis builders because they could put it in all harnessed out. But let's talk about what we have now.
Okay, yeah. So going with what you were talking about earlier, adding a display, we've gone ahead and basically built a Sportsman data logger into the backside of our most popular dash, the IQ3. So last year we launched the IQ3 Drag dash. Again, it has the same type of constraints as the Sportsman unit. It carries up to the 6 VNet channels. But this unit comes with, of course, engine RPM, drive shaft RPM, battery voltage. This one comes also with oil pressure and water temp, though, which is something that the Sportsman doesn't.
Does that take up a channel?
No, it doesn't. You still have 6 remaining VNets beyond that, so you get a little bit more expanded.
So you get a little more expanded. Yeah, here you go.
Except this unit doesn't come with G meters, which the Sportsman does. So if you want to go ahead and use our optional G meter, 2-axis G meter module, then you would go ahead and consume the same 2 channels. But this is, as you had said, for people running a super comp dragster or even top dragsters would like this because this unit mounts in the cockpit. You can easily access the SD card. You yourself said with the Sportsman you had it mounted backwards and upside down so you could reach the card. This is right in the dash, and it's a micro SD card, which is a little smaller.
I think I put one in there so
it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, there.
And important to note the alignment on the micro SD card when you insert it in.
Yep, you want to make sure the pins are facing up on that deal. It's funny, we get a lot of people say, how come you don't go with the micro SD? And then we change to the micro SD and everybody says, how come you went with the micro SD? They're small. So we have the best of both worlds for you. If you want a micro SD card, we got the Drag Dash. If not, the Sportsman might be for you. But
right, and as we had said, comes with engine, drive shaft, the water temp and oil pressure, and the battery volts. That's all done in a common harness. And then much like the Sportsman, if we want to add the modules, as we had spoken about, you add it to the VNet port. Just like the Sportsman, you'll see that the unit comes with the blue Terminator cap already on the VNet port. That's going to be different than what we're going to see later on with the V300 SD, but both the Sportsman and the IQ3 Drag Dash have that. so that when you do, let's say you add a trans temperature just to this unit, then you'd obviously pull that blue VNet plug off there. You'd get an extension cable plus your trans temp module, and then plug the Terminator Cap in after you've plugged in the trans temp module, so that the circuit's complete.
And guys, that's what makes it really cool when you already have all this stuff. Say you bought the whole setup from a chassis builder, and you get the car, and you say, "Oh man, I forgot to buy a pan vacuum sensor or a nitrous bottle." What's really cool is you can actually, you yourself, you don't have to send it back to the chassis builder or us. You just pop the cap off, stick your extension cable in, run it to your engine compartment, and then from there you're going to add all your additional stuff, etc. And then just remember, on any of our data loggers, you're going to want to make sure that you put the cap back on when you're done. This is not just a dust cap. If you look in there, I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but there's little terminating resistors in there that will actually do something if you don't leave it on there. It's going to basically, in a easy way, it sends the information but doesn't tell it to turn around and come back to the data logger. So make sure you always put the cap on the back. So, but I myself, I wish my next car for sure will have the drag dash, because it's just a super cool unit, and it's all in one, and I think it's a killer deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we said, a lot of people, once they have the data, once they're recording the data and they're running gauges, I mean, this is just a much more compact display. Especially some of the cockpits get very, very crowded in there, and the footprint of the IQ3 isn't that large, so it's really a convenient way of totally instrumenting the car without occupying a lot of space.
Yeah, we get a lot of guys that say, "Oh man, I don't want to make my brand new pretty race car dash look like Swiss cheese because I put in a bunch of analog gauges." Well, what's really cool about our display dashes is the fact that, I mean, yes, it can house 6 things on one page, but there's actually 4 pages that you can toggle through. You can wire in a button that comes with it that will actually, you push it and it turns to the next page, push it again, goes to the next page. If you only have 2 pages, it'll toggle back and forth to 2. It's all user programmable for however you prefer. That's another really cool unit. Is thing about the IQ3 itself. Something else that's really cool about the drag dash or any of our IQ3s is if you add something to it, say even oil pressure, you can move, say oil pressure comes with it, you can actually move it. Say it comes pre-programmed in the bottom left corner, but I want it in the bottom right corner. It's all user programmable. You can make that happen. Another really cool thing about the drag dashes is the fact that you can type in your own text. So you don't have, like, some of our older stuff, you used to just have to know the, okay, I put pan vacuum here because it doesn't say pan vac, it's just the value. Well, now you can type in PVAC or VAC or whatever, AF1, AF right, left, etc. It's all user programmable, and yeah, mounting is super easy as well. I don't know, you guys probably saw that when we first did it, but it's just all mounted on a couple easy mounting points. Just drill a couple holes or 3 holes, and then you'll just notch for all of this, and you got your programming port, your VNet, and your main harness, and that's pretty much it on the wiring. I'm not a huge wiring guy, but it's really easy. So
yeah, another thing, as you pointed out, the mounting of this we have available, and the dealers as well have the mount panels, the carbon fiber mount panels, the black, the silver mount panels for this, and as well we have a small little metal bracket with the cutouts already for it in the stud location to make it real easy for like a steering column mount.
The mount panels that we do, it's like a molded plastic simulated carbon or whatever. A lot of the door car guys use it because it's easy. They'll, even like a street car or something like that, you can take it and trim to fit so it has the recessed part for your IQ3, but then you can cut it to whatever it needs to be if it's in a race car or a street car, etc. So that's a quick little run through as far as the 10-cent tour on the IQ3 Drag Dash. Let's talk about a little more. I know what I'm doing when it comes to data, and already I've graduated from the Sportsman. I'm building a new car, and I want shock data. I want a ton of pressures, a ton of temperature. Let's just say we got a 4-stage nitrous car, and a couple bottles, etc. What do we got for that?
That's where the V300 SD comes into play. It's very similar to the previous 2 that we talked about as far as using the same VNet technology, downloading to a micro SD card, but this has, as we referenced earlier, a shielded harness for engine RPM, drive shaft RPM. Of course, it has the 2 G meters that we spoke of earlier and battery voltage. This one, instead of being restricted like the other two are to 6 VNet channels without any upgrades whatsoever, this can go right to 56 VNet channels. So that way you've got a lot of support, like you said, if you're doing multiple fuel stages, nitrous stages, pan back if you want all 8 O2s on the thing.
Yep, so did you hear that, everybody? 56 additional sensors. That is a lot. And I've been here 9 years, and I've seen a couple people max their systems out, but usually 9 times out of 10 you're going to have more than enough channels. You don't really think about thinking you need 56 channels, but say you added an EFI module or something like that to it, and you get 12 channels in one module. We'll cover that later, but that's just, they add up real quick. So
yeah, they sure can. And like you had said, still has the same programming port as the Sportsman unit. So we'll go ahead and you can see we've got the same 3.5 millimeter phone jack comes in, downloads using the same. Well, that would have been nice if there was an SD card in there. If Cameron had let me know that was just a problem.
Sorry, I booby trapped him.
But anyhow, so
Sactor types.
Yeah. So anyhow, hey, it's live. What can you do?
Yeah.
So. But one of the other differences that we touched on, the other two units that we spoke about, when you're adding your VNet channels, you just simply pulled off the Terminator cap. What you'll see on here, the Terminator cap is already located on this T cable. Very important on the V300 SD that this T cable stays in place here. Now you can go ahead and run your extension cable from here forward, obviously, to go pick up all your O2s or whatever VNet sensors.
Whatever's in the engine compartment.
Right. Or at the back of the car for the wheelie bar pressure or anything like that. You would take, in that case, you would take the Terminator cap off this side, run your wheelie bar pressure, your ride height sensors, whatever, and then install this Terminator cap. So, which
essentially makes it a T, so you can go both directions. You can get your your rear stuff. Say you had your nitrous bottle mounted in the trunk or something like that, you can pick that up.
Yeah,
so.
And with this V300, when you get it when it's in the box, you'll see it comes with the mating Terminator cap. You see an open end here. There's a mating Terminator cap that's always attached to this T cable. And there's a huge warning in red letters: do not remove this T cable, and make sure you put the Terminator cap in there.
Yep.
And probably 8 people out of 10 follow that rule when you're at the races, but we eventually find the Terminator cap and
get her fixed up.
Exactly.
So let's see. Something else that's super cool about the V300 SD is the fact that you may not have seen it on the Sportsman and the Drag Dash, but it actually has an analog port as well. The analog port basically allows you to use stuff that requires high sampling rates, such as shock travels or something like that. A lot of the guys and the crew chiefs, they like to sample that stuff at 250 samples a second. That's usually what we send it out as, but you can sample it up to 1,000 samples a second if you really wanted to. But the cool thing about that is it allows you to look at shock velocities and things like that. If it doesn't, if that's what you guys want to do.
Well, a lot of people, when they're talking to the guys that set up their suspensions, the shocks and things like that, you're right, the shock velocities are very important. They want to see how quick the rate of change is on that, and how much they need to adjust the dampening and things of that nature. Another feature that the V300 SD brings, especially in a blown application, is not just the shock travels like you'd use in a Pro Mod, but you can actually, through a timing upgrade, you can use the TDC input and record your actual engine timing on the V300 as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really cool functionality of the deal, and a lot of people too are starting to. We get the question with any of our data loggers: will it work with a power grid? Yes, it will. Depending on the channel situation, like if you had a Sportsman or a Drag Dash, you might have to purchase a few more channels if you want to stream everything at once. I kind of touched on it a minute ago about how, say an EFI system or something, you buy one module and it allows you to add up to 12 or 16, whatever it is, channels. Same thing with the power grid. There's, I believe it's 13.
Somewhere in that vicinity. It's either 11 or 13, but in the MSD software you can go in and restrict the channels
exactly.
that you do. Most often I see that people bring across the MSD engine RPM, MSD timing, and then a few people will run step retards and things of that nature if they'd like, but primarily just those 2 channels are all that's really required.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can turn off the stuff from the power grid. We get that question a lot too. But yeah, essentially all of our units that we run, the Sportsman, the V300, and the Drag Dash, they all run our DataLink 2 software. It's the same exact software regardless of what program that you have. There's a few differences when it comes to installing the stuff. The Sportsman data logger and the drag dash itself, we pre-make the config file for you, and it comes built into the software. So when you download the software and you open it up, it says what type of recorder did you purchase. You would select Sportsman or IQ3 Drag. So now when it comes to the V300 SD, that's a little bit different. These things pack so much punch. We basically custom make these for you. So whether you purchase it from us or a dealer, you call us, we basically build the system for you, make your own configuration file. It has your own licensing keys. Originally, we did that because a lot of pro teams were using it, and they didn't want other people to get their data or and things like that. It's all kind of encrypted and coded. So that's kind of another cool feature of the SD. But it's we've kind of surpassed that a little bit in modern technology. But it's all done on a thumb drive. But as far as the software basics, it's pretty much the same.
As you said, they all run the same software, so the only difference being, as you had mentioned, the V300 SD coming with the additional information, and all that information is on the card that comes with the little USB memory stick.
Right.
And you'll see in there these two, as you said, with the configuration coming in the software, the V300 has a unique serial number. These two do not, and that's why it has the USB serial, the config file on the USB memory stick.
Cool. Let's see, I'm trying to think of a few other little quick things that we get a lot of people ask when purchasing their data loggers. Oh, we get a lot of people that call and say, hey, I got my Racepak here, but I didn't get any instructions with it.
Good, I'm glad you're touching on this.
Yeah, yes you did. So in every purchase that you get from Racepak when it comes to data logger, when you buy a data logger, you're going to get a Racepak USB thumb drive. In this thumb drive, it's going to house, if you have a V300, it's going to house your licensing keys, your unlock keys, your config file, and the instruction manual. It's all on the same deal, and the software's on there too. So whether it's a Sportsman, V300, or Drag Dash, you will have an instruction manual, you will have software. It's all built into one little USB thumb drive. No more CDs. CDs are kind of out. So
yeah, they've gone the way of the old floppy disk. All the laptops even that we provide here at Racepak, they don't even come with the CD drives anymore.
Yeah, that just goes to show you, even I'm getting old. So
what does that make me? Never mind.
So,
all right.
But I guess from there, if we could get a little help from our esteemed colleagues from behind, we have a couple questions that we might be able to add. So let's see here. Let's see, the 12-volt event on a Sportsman. We touched on that a little bit. That orange wire that's on the main drive shaft harness is actually plugs into the DS 12-volt event portion on the data logger itself. That is just a 12-volt event marker that's labeled TransBrake in the config file. If you don't want to run it, you don't have to. You can literally cut it off if you want to, but I would recommend coiling it up for whenever you're ready to use it. But all it is anytime that wire, whether it's hooked to a TransBrake, a solenoid, a brake switch, anything like that, when that wire sees 12 volts, it will put a line on the graph that will basically say that is on. So if it's brake switch, you're on the brake, it's going to put a line. You let off, boom, there you go. TransBrake, you push and hold the button, you're on the button, you release, and then you can see it drops out. You can see the difference between when it drops out versus when your car reacted, and usually you're going to see your delay in there. So bracket racers, you're going to see your 1.1, whatever you have in delay, and you can add that up and make sure it's working. So. See, do we have anything else here?
Yeah, we have a question. If you can please explain the two different versions of software on the V300.
Okay. Todd, go ahead. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, so telemetry if you want, add, delete channels, all the basic functions of the software. What the upgrade to standard software gives you the ability to do math channels. We talked earlier about adding shock velocities. That's something that you would be able to get once you get the standard software, because it takes the basic data that you're getting and allows you to apply a variety of math functions on it. I've been here, like I said, for about a decade, and I learned so many things once we upgraded my data logger to standard software, and a few of the people showed me some of the things we could do. We could integrate the G-meter value to figure out the speed and distance of the vehicle at any point on the racetrack.
Right.
Another thing that comes with the additional with the addition of the standard software is the ability to do video integration if you're using some of the earlier style HD cameras. Standard def cameras will not work right now with HD video. But you can also do custom run log pages too. There's a lot of people out there that have, just beyond the basic run info, they have some that break down the increments differently and do math based off of even the weather that's inputted.
Yeah.
So,
and the one thing I want to touch on, you mentioned math channels and you mentioned run log pages. Let me clear something up for everybody. What is a math channel? A math channel is a mathematical equation that you can take one thing and reference another, and it will do the math for you, and you can have a channel button at the top that actually says, let's just say converter % slip. If you want to know the percentage of slip in your converter, there's a math equation that's, I think it's engine RPM minus the drive shaft RPM divided by the engine RPM times 100. Now, if you don't want to do that every single time, that's what a math channel does. You put that equation in the system, it will create a button, so that way you just click on it, it does the math for you. A run log page is down at the bottom. You have little tabs in the software that where you put your time slip information. You can type in, your tuning setups or whatever. Well, creating your own run log, if you have some carb thing that a jet calculator or something like that, you can program and design that yourself with the custom run log pages. We supply you with the basic run log pages at the very beginning, but other than that, it's up to you as far as what you want to create. And with all the pro stock and top fuel teams out there, you could imagine what you can come up with. So, but that's kind of a little rundown on the difference between the Data Link Lite and Data Link Standard. So, do we have anything else in there that's pressing?
We have a question. How many channels will the MSD grid take up on the Sportsman or Drag Dash?
That's kind of a loaded question. We also touched on that a little bit. Sorry if we're repeating, but we can't see the question, so if we have to run through it, that's why. But the MSD itself, I believe it's 12 or 13 channels maximum. What it would, like if you just plugged in the T cable and you read the system, it would stream. I think it's 12 or 13. But if you have the ability to turn them off within the MSD system. So if you have a Sportsman logger, you can only add 6 additional sensors, and you don't want to max out just with your MSD power grid. What you would want to do is you would want to turn the 2 off. So let's just say, like in my buddy's car, he wanted overall timing and MSD engine RPM, so he didn't have to hook up our TAC input. So you got plenty of channels. So anything else?
One quick thing you touched on when we got to the V300 SD, and it's kind of for a slightly more advanced deal, but if you are using an EFI and you didn't go with the Sportsman, didn't go with the V300 SD, but you did go with the IQ3 Drag Dash, this does provide onboard support for 20 or so EFI different EFI systems. You can check our website, and because we have to keep this list fairly up to date, because it seems that they're building EFI systems every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this has a variety of adapter cables that will come with it, and will bring in whatever the ECU is streaming. And the neat thing about that is, because it's an internal channel, it doesn't take up any of the VNets, so you can still go ahead and take whatever the ECU is bringing across. And then most ECUs don't bring certain things across. You would be able to go ahead and still utilize the VNet channels beyond that. So you can actually get a fair number of channels on your IQ3 Drag Dash.
Yep. And yes, we do not, I repeat, we do not make an ECU here at Racepak. A lot of people think that our data loggers are EFI systems. Unfortunately, no, they are not. But our sister companies, such as Holley and things like that, even MSD, they do the EFI stuff, and we like to do the data logging for them on that end. But let's see if we have any other questions real quick.
I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah.
Again, we apologize. Apparently, we have a... let's see, there's an asterisk. We'll go with lousy internet connection, and we apologize, but we'll do the best I can, and Todd's going to do the best he can and see if we can't get that figured out for next week. But basically, that's a quick little run through on some of our basic data loggers here at Racepak, and you're welcome to roll on to racepak.com and check out all our full line of products. We also have a YouTube page, is called Racepak Media, that that also talks about tips and tricks and questions as far as using your data logger and lifestyle stuff and team Racepak stuff, etc. But just want to do a little run through here of the rest of we have 7 more weeks of this that we hopefully will be getting better, but
us or the internet connection?
Well,
Probably
I don't know.
both.
Well, hopefully both. So,
But
let's see. So week 2, we're gonna, like we mentioned before, we're gonna learn the basics and user functions of the Racepak data link software. Week 3, the installation and setup of your IQ3 Drag logger dash that we talked about tonight. So if you're confused on the programming aspect of it, as far as adding and removing sensors and stuff, that one will be pretty cool. Installation and setup of your V300 SD data logger. So as you can see, we talk about the basics here, and then we're going to kind of get a little bit more in depth as we go. But so, did you have something else that your assistant chimed in with?
Our lovely assistant just brought to our attention one of the questions that came up, and it refers to the basically an upgrade path, because as we said, the Sportsman is somewhat limited. It's an entry-level data logger. As they get more comfortable with it, more comfortable with the data, I want to add more channels. Do I really want to do all those upgrades? Well, no, not necessarily. You can take all of your VNet channels that you already had with the Sportsman. Let's say you had your TransTemp, your oil pressure, water temp, O2 sensor, and then all you basically have to do is get rid of your Sportsman data logger and put your V300 in. Now you'll have to change the harness for the drive shaft RPM, your engine RPM pickup. As we said, this comes with a shielded harness. But all your VNets will still go ahead and connect on the VNet port, so you don't lose any of those. And actually, all 3 of these data loggers use the same drive shaft sensor and magnetic collar, so you're not really losing anything there. And you can always find somebody that's looking to get into a Sportsman.
Absolutely,
and you can sell this for be a real buddy to a fellow racer.
Yeah, the retail, they do hold their retail value pretty well, so it's something that we don't like to just lead you down a path and it's a dead end. For the most part, any of your additional sensors you can add to any of our data loggers. But like I said, other than that,
recap exactly what each logger is for.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, all right. So just a brief
final
review. Okay, so basically, we started with the Sportsman data logger. So the Sportsman, again, entry level, as you had mentioned, stocks, super comp,
super gas,
right,
bracket racer, anything battery operated, big block, small block type of thing. But just remember, no magneto or blowers due to the harmonics and the high amperage stuff that comes from the magneto. That's a no-go on the Sportsman data logger.
Right. But if you're gonna, then also with the non-shielded harness, the same basic restrictions apply to the IQ3 Drag dash too, because we're just dealing again with the 18 gauge wire coming out. There's no real shielding on that, so again, not for a supercharged or magneto application, but very good for a super comp dragster, top dragster, with nitrous or something like that.
Absolutely.
Right, and then when we get into, as we said, the magneto, the blown applications, or if you want many channels and you don't want to have to worry about upgrading, then V300s, we've seen these in everything from super comp cars up to the pro modifieds.
Yep. That's I have a V300 SD in my personal car, but yes, I do a lot of testing and things. I add and remove sensors all the time, so I always need the extra channels. But you can definitely get away with a Sportsman or a drag dash, but just for a lot of the stuff. If you're a guy, it's funny. We get a lot of guys that like to tinker and they like to see different things. And even if it's just a super comp car, and they say, "Oh, well, what's this doing?" and they want to put, what's an odd sensor that we do.
They're all odd sensors after a while.
Laser ride height or something like that on a super comp car, or track temp. A lot of that stuff is great stuff to monitor, but sometimes it's not necessarily necessary when it comes to a lot of stuff. So, do you have any final questions before we?
Let's see. Oh, okay. Now I think. I'm sorry. What was that one in reference to? The bottom one?
Yeah. Comment on it.
Right. So I guess it's just looking at the differential in cost between the Sportsman and the V300 data logger, again, because they essentially do the same things out of the box. They both do the engine RPM, drive shaft, G meters, and battery volts. Pardon me, the Racepak Sportsman unit retails at $855, I think it is, and whereas the V300 SD is $1695. Now both of those are priced without the either 2 magnet or 8 magnet collar, which is something we'll touch on in the coming weeks too, the difference between those. So you're looking basically at about an $800 or $900 difference, and it's just at the onset when you first start. Are you going to just start with the basics, maybe 1 or 2 sensors? Then the Sportsman's right for you. If you know right off the bat, I need 802s, I need Pandac, I need all of this, then you're definitely going to.
What our sales guys like to do on the phone is when you call and you have questions and stuff, they'll say, take a minute, go home, or even get on the internet or whatever, make a list of what you're interested in monitoring right away and what you're interested in monitoring potentially maybe 4 or 5 years from now. You may come up with new things as you go, but it's just something to, like you have a guy that says, hey, I just want the basics, but I think I might add some nitrous stuff later in a couple years. So when I add that, I'm going to add 4 stages, all these bottles and whatnot. And so then it's, okay, well, maybe you should probably look into spending the extra money right off the bat for the V300 instead of having to take out one data logger, sell it, and then buy the other one. So something to think about.
Right. I mean, a lot of people, when we first came out with the V300 SD, never thought we'd be doing heart rate monitoring. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you never know what we may come up with next, but we want to thank everybody for joining our first Racepak webinar. We got 7 more of them to do here, and we're going to do our best to get our connection and coverage dialed in for you for next week. But if you have any more questions, feel free to give us a holler at toll free at 888-429-4709, or you can contact one of our Racepak dealers out there across the country and the world as well. And if you have any questions in the meantime and we're not on the phones or out racing ourselves, you can always log on to our Racepak YouTube page at Racepak Media as well. So, but thank you guys very much, and we hope you have a good rest of the week.